So we're reading chapter 9, and Lord Chaitanya is on his tour. He met the Tattvavadis, the followers of Madhvacharya, and he asked the Acharya from their temple, what is the goal of life and what is the means for achieving it? He answered with only one verse, saying, you should follow the Varnashram principles. He quoted a verse from the Vishnu Purana, and Lord Chaitanya said, what's that? What's the good of all that? According to the Vedas, so it was just a setup. He asked the question only to explain to him what our position is, that one should develop loving, pure devotion to the Lord. He talks about pure devotees reject the 5 kinds of liberation. Indeed, for them, liberation is insignificant. They see it as hellish. All right, so text 269, he quotes from the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam, from the story of King Bharat, who left behind all of his riches. What he's saying is the 4 things, dharma, artha, kama, and moksha, these are insignificant. We are after the 5th purushartha, the panchama purushartha, which is love for Krishna. So first he's saying we're not interested in moksha, and now he's saying we're not interested in kama either. I think that's the point he's making in this verse. It is very difficult to give up material opulence, land, children, society, friends, riches, wife, for the blessings of the goddess of fortune, which are desired even by great demigods. But King Bharat did not desire such things, and this was quite befitting his position, because for a pure devotee whose mind is always engaged in the service of the Lord, even liberation or emerging into the existence of the Lord is insignificant, and what to speak of material opportunities. Next verse, a person who is a devotee of Lord Narayan is not afraid of a hellish condition, because he considers it the same as elevation to the heavenly planets or liberation. The devotees of Lord Narayan are accustomed to seeing all these things on the same level. And I'm going to open that up because that is a real important verse. It's from the 6th canto, and one that Prabhupada quotes frequently, Narayana parasarve na kutaschana bibyati swarga pavarga narakeshu apitulyarta darshina. This is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam regarding the personality Chitraketu. Once when Chitraketu saw the goddess Parvati sitting on the lap of Lord Shambhu, Shiva, he criticized Lord Shiva for being shameless and sitting just like an ordinary man with his wife on his lap. For this reason, Chitraketu was cursed by Parvati. Later, he became a demon named Vritrasura. Chitraketu was a very powerful king and a devotee, and he could certainly retaliate, even against Lord Shiva. But when Parvati cursed him, he immediately accepted the curse with a bowed head. When he agreed to accept this curse, Lord Shiva praised him and told Parvati that a devotee of Lord Narayan is never afraid of accepting any position, provided there is a chance to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the purport of Narayana Parasarve Nakutaschana Bibyati. All right, and it wasn't like that he just criticized him. Chitraketu was flying over the situation with his airplane, and he saw Lord Shiva there, and Lord Shiva wasn't just sitting with his wife on his lap. He was sitting and speaking to a group of sages. Narada Muni was there, and I think the 4 Kumaras and all of these like brahmacharis and sannyasis, and he was speaking to them about detachment. And Chitraketu, he knew perfectly well that Lord Shiva is not attached to anything material, but he just thought, this is so funny. It wasn't in a mean way that he made the joke, and Lord Shiva kind of got the joke too. He thought it was pretty funny. But his wife didn't appreciate that. So she cursed him. And when Chitraketu heard the curse, he got down from his airplane and he bowed down and he said, "Thank you very much, mother." And then he got back in his airplane and flew away. And Lord Shiva said something like to his wife, "You have been defeated," because, meaning like, you got angry, but he didn't. He didn't do anything to offend you. He didn't do anything to offend me. And in the commentaries, it goes back and forth. In some places it said Chitraketu is at fault, and in other places it said he was not. And then in some places it says that Parvati was justified in cursing him because that's her husband and she should protect him. And anytime a devotee is offended, you should defend the devotee and speak out against the offender. And then in the next purport, it says, she got upset. She should not have gotten upset. She should have taken the cue from her husband, who had not gotten upset. So you'll find a lot of purports like that, a lot of things like this. Things are not always so clear. The one thing that is clear, Lord Shiva speaks this verse, Narayana Parasarve. So for those who are devotees of Narayan, Sarve, in all circumstances, na kutaschani, not in any place are they afraid, bibhyati. They're never afraid, whether they're svarga, in heaven, apavarga, on the path of liberation, narakeshu, or in a hellish situation. They api tulyartha darshana. Tulya means equal. They see everything equally. Darshana means to see. So that's the one thing that's clear on that situation. So Lord Chaitanya quoted that verse saying, devotees aren't interested in liberation because the Tattvavadis had said liberation is the goal. All right. Anandi, what you want to read on 271?
Both liberation and fruitive activity are rejected by devotees. You are trying to establish these things as life's goal and the process for attaining it. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued speaking to the Tattvavadi Acharya. Seeing that I am a mendicant in the renounced order of life, you have been playing with me in a duplicitous way. You have not actually described the process and ultimate objective. After hearing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Acharya of the Tattavada Sampradaya became very much ashamed. Upon observing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's rigid faith in Vaishnavism, he was struck with wonder. The Tattvavadi Acharya replied, "What you have said is certainly factual. It is the conclusion of all the revealed scriptures of the Vaishnavas. Still, whatever Madhavacharya has established as the formula for our party, we practice as a party policy."
Suprita, are you ready?
Yeah. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, both the fruitive worker and the speculative philosopher are considered non-devotees. We see both elements present in your sampradaya. The only qualification that I see in your sampradaya is that you accept the form of the Lord as truth. Thus, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu broke the pride of the Tattvavadis to pieces. He then went to the holy place known as Halgu Tirtha. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi, next went to Tritakupa. And after seeing the Vishala deity there, he went to the holy place known as Panchapsara Tirtha.
Let's read that purport. It looks like an interesting little story.
279.
Yes. Go ahead and read a whole paragraph.
Okay. The Apsaras, denizens of the heavenly planets, are generally known as dancing girls. The girls in the heavenly planets are exquisitely beautiful, and if a woman on earth is found to be very beautiful, she is compared to the Apsaras. There were 5 Apsaras named Lata, Budbuda, Samichi, Saurabheyi, and Varna. It is said that these 5 beautiful dancing girls were sent by Indra to break the severe austerity of a saintly person called Achyuta Rishi. This action was typical of Indra, the king of heaven. Whenever Indra discovered someone undergoing severe austerities, he would begin to fear for his post. Indra was always anxious about his position, fearing that if someone became powerful than he would lose his elevated position. Thus, as soon as he would see a saint undergoing severe austerities, he would send dancing girls to distract him. Even the great saint Vishwamitra fell victim to his scheme.
Go ahead, read the next paragraph.
When the 5 Apsaras went to break Achyuta Rishi's meditation, they were all chastised and cursed by the saint. As a result, the girls turned into crocodiles in a lake that came to be known as Panchapsara. Lord Ramachandra also visited this place. From Sri Narada Muni's narration, it is understood that when Arjuna went to visit the holy places, he learned about the condemnation of the 5 Apsaras. He delivered them from their abominable condition, and from that day, the lake known as Panchapsara became a place of pilgrimage.
Okay. I wonder why that never happened to me, that while I was doing severe austerities, Indra never sent any dancing girls. He sent me Mahara though. So
Mataji is like a great devotee. So
she's like a what?
she's a great devotee.
Yes, I thought you were gonna say, let's see. If a woman on earth is found to be very beautiful, she's compared to the Apsaras. I thought you were gonna compare. Okay, I think you get to read one more verse.
After seeing Panchapsara, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Gokarna. While there, he visited the temple of Lord Shiva, and then he went to Dvaipayani. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the crown jewel of all sannyasis, then went to Surparaka Tirtha.
And in the purport, it says Surparaka is about 26 miles north of Bombay. In the Maharashtra province near Bombay is a district known as Pan and a place known as Sopara. Surparaka is mentioned in the Mahabharata. Surparaka. So he went north of Mumbai. I didn't know that. Surparaka. Okay, Matthew, are you ready?
Yep. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then visited the town of Kolhapur, where he saw the goddess of fortune in the temple of Kshuda Bhagavati, and saw Langa Ganesh in another temple known as Chorda Parvati. From there, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Pandarpur, where he happily saw the temple of Vitatala Thakur.
Let's read the purport.
Oh, okay. The purport to 282?
Yeah.
Okay. The city of Pandarpur is situated on the river Bhima. It is said that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu initiated Tukaram when he visited Pandarpur and thus Tukaram became his disciple. Tukaram Acharya became very famous in the Maharashtra province, and he spread the Sankirtan movement all over the province. The Sankirtan party belonging to Tukaram is still very popular in Bombay and throughout the province of Maharashtra. Tukaram's book is known as Abhanga. His Sankirtan party exactly resembles the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sankirtan parties, for they chant the holy name of the Lord with mridanga and kartals. The Lord Vittaladev mentioned in this verse is a form of Lord Vishnu with two hands. He is Narayan.
Okay, so after we're done with the call, look up some of the, what would you call those kind of kirtans? The Tukaram kirtans,
Abhang.
Maharashtra, Pandarpur kirtans. Look that up on YouTube and watch some videos of how these people do kirtan.
There's a movie of Tukaram. It's very good.
Oh, that old one from the 30s, the black and white one?
Yeah.
I don't think it was black and white. There's a color one that I saw.
Oh, send me a link.
Yeah.
There was one, I don't know if it was Tukaram, but it was someone from that area, and they did it back in the 30s. Now, that's one of my favorite movies. That was really good. I haven't watched it in a long time. Okay, go ahead, Matthew.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted and danced in various ways as usual. A Brahmin, seeing him in ecstatic love, was very pleased and invited the Lord to his home for lunch. The Brahmin offered Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu food with great respect and love. After finishing his lunch, the Lord received auspicious news. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu received word that Sri Rangapuri, one of the disciples of Sri Madhavendra Puri, was present in that village at the home of a Brahmin.
Okay, who is that one that we read about sometime back? Was it Paramanandapuri? He had been staying, or Bharati. When Lord Chaitanya spent the 4 months in Sri Rangam, then he moved on, and then he found out that someone had spent 4 months at this other town pretty close by, and they got to meet. Do you remember, Suprita?
At Sri Rangam, it was Venkata Bhatta. I don't know after that.
Yeah, but it was right after that he met this other one, and it was like it was a disciple of Madhavendra Puri, so godbrother of his guru, Ishwar Puri. So Rangapuri, and this is pretty significant. There's going to be some pretty important things that happen here in Pandarpur. Hearing this news, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately went to see Sri Rangapuri at the Brahmin's home. Upon entering, the Lord saw him sitting there. As soon as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw Sri Rangapuri, he immediately offered him obeisances in ecstatic love, falling flat on the ground. The symptoms of transcendental transformation were visible, namely tears, jubilation, trembling, and perspiration. Upon seeing Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in such an ecstatic mood, Sri Rangapuri said, "Your Holiness, please get up. Your Holiness is certainly related to Sri Madhavendra Puri, without whom there is no fragrance of ecstatic love." And there's a purport there, but it looks, yeah, we'll keep going. After saying this, Sri Rangapuri lifted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu up and embraced him. As they embraced, shoulder to shoulder, they both began to cry in ecstasy. Anandi, it's your turn.
Okay. After some moments, they came to their senses and became patient. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then informed Sri Rangapuri about his relationship with Ishwara Puri. They were both inundated by the wonderful ecstasy of love that was aroused in them. Finally, they sat down and respectfully began to converse. In this way, they discussed topics about Lord Krishna continually for 5 to 7 days. Out of curiosity, Sri Rangapuri asked Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu about his birthplace, and the Lord informed him that it was in Navadvip Dham. Sri Rangapuri had formerly gone to Navadvip with Sri Madhavendra Puri, and he therefore remembered the incident that had taken place there.
As soon as Sri Rangapuri recalled Navadvip, he also recalled accompanying Sri Madhavendra Puri to the house of Jagannath Mishra, where Rangapuri had taken lunch. He even remembered the taste of an unprecedented curry made of banana flowers. Sri Rangapuri also remembered the wife of Jagannath Mishra. She was very devoted and chaste. As for her affection, she was exactly like the mother of the universe. He also remembered how Jagannath Mishra's wife, Sachi Mata, was expert in cooking. He recalled that she was very affectionate toward the sannyasis and fed them exactly like her own sons. Sri Rangapuri also remembered that one of her deserving sons had accepted the renounced order at a very young age. His name was Shankararanya. Sri Rangapuri informed Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that the sannyasi named Shankararanya had attained perfection in that holy place, Pandarpur.
Let's read this purport.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's elder brother was named Vishwarupa. He left home before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and accepted the sannyasa order under the name of Shankararanya Swami. He traveled all over the country and finally went to Pandarpur, where he passed away after attaining perfection. In other words, he entered the spiritual world after giving up his mortal body at Pandarpur. Sri Rangapuri, a disciple of Sri Madhavendra Puri and god brother of Ishwara Puri, disclosed this important news to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
Matthew.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, in my previous ashram, Shankararanya was my brother and Jagannath Mishra was my father. After finishing his talks with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Rangapuri started for Dwarka Dham. After Sri Rangapuri departed for Dwarka, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained with the Brahman at Pandarpur for 4 more days. He took his bath in the Bhima river and visited the temple of Vittala. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next went to the bank of the Krishna Benba river, where he visited many holy places and the temples of various gods. The Brahmin community there was composed of pure devotees. They regularly studied a book called Caitanya Caritamrta, which was composed by Bilva Mangala Thakur.
Okay, did everybody follow what just happened in Pandarpur? Who did he meet?
He met Rangapuri.
Yeah, and what's significant about Rangapuri?
I think he had met his brother, who was named Shankararanya.
Yeah, and not only his brother, who else did he meet?
His parents.
His parents, yeah.
His parents. He went to Lord Chaitanya's house. Lord Chaitanya was a little kid, must have been, when he came there. And what else? What else did Rangapuri remember? What else is significant about Rangapuri? He's the disciple of Madhavendra Puri. So he is a godbrother of Lord Chaitanya's guru, Ishwar Puri. And when Lord Chaitanya exhibited ecstasies, Rangapuri thought, this person has some connection with Madhavendra Puri, because formerly no one has shown these kind of ecstasies. What else did Rangapuri remember about their house?
But the Sachi Mata cooked very well.
Yeah, and she took good care of the sannyasis, treated them like her own sons.
Mm-hmm.
He even remembered special sabji that she had made out of banana. Yeah, have you ever cooked those?
Yeah, my granny used to make them.
Uh-huh. How was
It's actually tasty.
Really?
Yeah,
So
they mix it with dal. They mix it with dal and they call it parpusli.
okay. I tried doing it when I was in Costa Rica, because they had a lot of banana trees at the temple there, and oh man, it was a lot of work.
Oh.
And you soak it in salty water, and it just ended up tasting like banana peels. So I must have not been doing something right. And you
Well,
also,
the bananas, 500 years ago in India were probably very different from bananas today in Costa Rica.
well, I mean, these were like traditional kind of bananas in Costa Rica. And the banana flower is a banana flower. I mean, it's always.
In India, you get like smaller bananas. It's not the huge. You get the huge ones, but it's usually smaller.
These were Costa Rica bananas. They're called cuadratos because instead of 3 sections, they have 4. And they were good eating bananas and good for cooking too. It was a good choice of bananas to plant. But the flower, it hangs down. It's purple. You peel off the skin, and inside you're taking just those. What do you call those? Anandi is the gardening expert. The stamen, you peel away, like it's a leaf around the flower, the petal, and then there's all these stamens or something.
Oh yes, stamens. Mm-hmm.
And so you get a dull knife and you set that down, and then you pull everything away. You pull everything away, so just the outer covering of the stamen and the thing in the middle, you don't want. Those are like threads. And you have to oil your hands up, otherwise your hands turn black. It's all
Sounds
sticky.
like a lot of work.
Yeah. And so you collect those bananas, and you collect the flowers, and it's all sticky, milky, sappy. What a mess. A lot of work to make it. And then we had high expectations, like, yeah, we read about all of these banana flower sabjis. So we cooked it up, and it just tasted like banana peels. Somebody said they actually cooked a sabji with banana peels, and it was better than they expected.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Really while we're on the subject of weird recipes, in the early days of ISKCON, 1966, devotees didn't have much money at all. Prabhupada just had that tiny little temple on 26 Second Avenue, and devotees bought watermelons because they were cheap that summer. They cut them up, they'd eat the watermelons, and then they asked Prabhupada, can we do anything with the watermelon rind? And he said, oh yeah, you can make a sabji from the watermelon rind. And so they cut those up and they cooked them. And this was Brahmananda telling the story. He said, we were so poor. So that's how the Hare Krishna movement started, eating banana peels and watermelon rinds.
No.
You could look it up. there actually are recipes for watermelon rind subjis. It ends up, I think, tasting kind of like almost like a Loki squash, you know, a watery kind of squash.
Mhm.
Or you
We
could
like
just
Loki.
Loki squash tastes like watermelon rinds.
Hmm.
But okay, anyway, and then the most important news that he got, Lord Chaitanya got while he was there in Pandarpur, what was that? Who wants to say?
That his brother had left the planet.
Yep, he had left the world, left his body, passed on, died, however you want to say it. And the screen's adjusting to whatever you're showing us. It's finally starting to come in. Oh, a banana flower. Oh, I've never seen it like that.
Hmm.
The pistol. Okay.
This web page is called "How to Prepare a Banana Flower."
Oh, for
Vegan. It's a vegan website. How to
Okay.
prepare banana blossom.
Like that.
So
There we go. Now we know. We're not just making this stuff up.
and I do have that. I have the original Hare Krishna cookbook, and I do think it has a recipe in there for watermelon rind sabji.
The original one? No. The original, way
Well,
back. Let's see what he's got. Matthew's got a collection of interesting things. What were you showing us, Suprita?
Oh, the banana flower. That's how it looks in India. Or the one.
That's the original one. Okay, yeah, that's the kind of banana flower I dealt with. Yeah, and you pull off that yellow thing, and you get the threads out from the middle, and after doing all of that work, you get just, it's like eating an artichoke or something.
Mhm.
It's, yeah, banana flour, all that work. Okay, yeah, that is the original cookbook.
yeah, I don't see it though. I don't see the recipe in the index anyway. There's nothing. I
No.
thought there was something, but
I am 97% sure that there's no watermelon rind recipe in there.
okay.
I won't mind being proven wrong, but I'm pretty certain.
I believe you.
All right,
Maybe
now,
when you come to India, I'll ask my mom to make it.
okay, tarbuj sabji. They call it tarbuj where you are? A watermelon?
Oh no, tarbooj is that white melon, that other one.
I don't know. I think in Hindi, watermelon is tarbuj.
No. Tarbooj is that other melon. I don't know what it's called. The orange one.
Cantaloupe.
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
Maybe
It's
in
all,
South India. Yeah.
all right. So then another important thing just happened in text 305. So he leaves Pandarpur and he goes to the bank of the Krishna River. There he meets a Brahmin community composed of pure devotees. And they regularly studied a book entitled Krishna Caritamrta, which was composed by Bilva Mangal Thakur. Oh, do any of you know anything about Bilva Mangal Thakur?
No.
Well, let's read the next verse to make sure I have it right. So the next verse, 306, Krishna Caritamrta. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased to hear the book, Krishna Caritamrta, and with great eagerness, he had it copied and took it with him. There is no comparison to the Krishna Caritamrta within the three worlds. By studying this book, one is elevated to the knowledge of pure devotional service to Krishna. One who constantly reads the Krishna Caritamrta can fully understand the beauty and melodious taste of the pastimes of Lord Krishna. Mahara just read that book a couple months ago. She's been reading lots and lots of books. Every day she reads for an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours. The Brahma Samhita and Krishna Karnamrita were two books that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu considered to be most valuable jewels. Therefore, he took them with him on his return trip. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next arrived at the banks of the river Tapi. After bathing there, he went to Mahishmatipura. While there, he saw many holy places on the banks of the river Narmada. Anandi, go ahead.
The Lord next arrived at Danustirtha, where he took his bath in the river Nirvidya, and he then arrived at Rasamukha mountain and then went to Dandakaranya. Within the Dandakaranya forest, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then visited a place called Saptatala. The 7 palm trees there were very old, very bulky, and very high. Upon seeing the 7 palm trees, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu embraced them. As a result, they all returned to Vaikuntha Loka, the spiritual world. After the 7 palm trees had departed for Vaikuntha, everyone was astonished to see that they were gone. The people then began to say, the sannyasi called Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu must be an incarnation of Lord Ramachandra. Only Lord Ramachandra has the power to send 7 palm trees to the spiritual Vaikuntha planets. Where is this, by the way? Is this in Maharashtra?
It's in Dandakaranya, I think, right? Oh no, Sapta.
That's right, Dandakaranya.
Saptatala. Yeah. Okay. Eventually, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at a lake known as Pampa, where he took his bath. He then went to a place called Panchavati, where he rested. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then visited Nasika, where he saw the deity of Trayambaka, Lord Shiva. He then went to Brahmagiri and then to Kushavarta, the source of the river Godavari. After visiting many other holy places, the Lord went to Sapta Godavari. At last, he returned to Vidyanagara. When Ramananda Rai heard of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's arrival, he was very pleased, and he immediately went to see him. When Ramananda Rai fell flat, touching the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord immediately raised him to his feet and embraced him. Your turn.
He returned. Okay, so is he going this back, kind of backtracking now?
Yeah, he went in a circle. Were you there when I showed the map?
Yeah.
Here is a map of India.
Mm-hmm.
Here's Dwarka. Here's Bombay.
Okay.
Here's Bengal, Orissa. What's the town that Ramananda Rai is in? We just read it. Vidyanagara. It's down here. So yeah, he went down there, and then Rangakshetra, then up to here, Pandarpur. He starts heading across, then he goes back down south a little bit, and then from there he's going to go back to Puri.
Okay. In great ecstatic love, they both began to cry, and thus their minds were slackened. After some time, they regained their senses and sat together to discuss various subjects. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Ramananda Rai a vivid description of his travels to the holy places and told him how he had acquired the 2 books named Krishna Karnamrita and Brahma Samhita. The Lord delivered the books to Ramananda Rai. The Lord said, "Whatever you have told me about devotional service is all supported by these 2 books." Ramananda Rai was very happy to receive these books. He tasted their contents along with the Lord and made a copy of each.
News spread in the village of Vidyanagar about the arrival of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and everyone came to see him once again. After seeing the people who gathered there, Sri Ramananda Roy returned to his own home. At noon, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu got up to take his lunch. Oh, I got to tell a little story now now these come full circle. Now, back at that time, there were a lot of people that in South India, they could read and write. And some people were writing letters back and forth to each other. And some of these letters have been saved through the ages. And a devotee had collected some of these letters and put them together to make a book. And it's a story that's based on these letters. So something like this actually did happen. Somebody, I believe it was in Vidyanagar, he was away and then he came back and his wife told him, there was this great saint that came here. And when we saw him, or I didn't see him, I only heard about him, but everyone, when they saw him, they just started chanting. They couldn't help it. They immediately felt all the conclusions of the Vedas. And so her husband heard that and he said, well, I've got to go find that person. So he goes off tracing Mahaprabhu's footsteps through his whole journey, goes all the way south, comes up into Pandarpur, and he keeps missing him. And everywhere he goes, he keeps seeing all of these people rolling on the ground, laughing and chanting and crying and embracing each other because they've all gone into ecstasy. And then finally he gets back to his own town and his wife tells him, you missed it. He was here. And she writes about how I was up on the rooftop with all the other ladies and we watched him and we couldn't help it, but we just all started crying and we all spontaneously started chanting the names of Krishna, and we all felt like now at last I know what chanting Hare Krishna is about. And so her husband just broke down and started crying and like, why did I miss this? So I don't remember how.
Isn't there like a thing that one who goes around looking in search for holy places is an illusion?
Yeah, but I mean, this is completely justified when you hear about someone like Lord Chaitanya. You just drop everything and you run. I want to go see him. It's our duty, and he was answering that call. But sometimes we're put through things like that just to increase our desire for it, and sometimes we experience things more indirectly. You know, when we have an indirect experience, the experience is much stronger. All right, I just wanted to put that in there because now he's back in Vidyanagar. And the news spread in the village of Vidyanagar about the arrival of Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu, and everyone came to see him once again. After seeing the people who gathered there, Sri Ramananda Roy returned to his own home. At noon, Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu got up to take his lunch. Sri Ramananda Roy returned at night, and he and the Lord discussed topics concerning Krishna. Thus they passed the night. Ramananda Roy and Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu discussed Krishna day and night, and thus they passed from 5 to 7 days in great happiness. Ramananda Roy said, my dear Lord, with your permission, I have already written a letter to the king with great humility. And Anandi, it's your turn.
The king has already given me an order to return to Jagannath Puri, and I am making arrangements to do this. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then said, it is for this purpose alone that I have returned. I want to take you with me to Jagannath Puri. Ramananda Roy said, my dear Lord, it is better that you proceed to Jagannath Puri alone, because with me there will be many horses, elephants, and soldiers all warring tumultuously. I shall make arrangements within 10 days. Following you, I shall go to Nilachala without delay. Giving orders to Ramananda Roy to come to Nilachala, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu departed for Jagannath Puri with great pleasure.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu returned by the same road he had formerly taken to Vidyanagara, and all the Vaishnavas along the way saw him again. Wherever Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, the holy name of Sri Hari was vibrated. Seeing this, the Lord became very happy. When the Lord reached Alalanatha, he sent his assistant Krishnadasa ahead to call for Nityananda Prabhu and other personal associates. As soon as Nityananda Prabhu received the news of the arrival of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he immediately got up and started out to see him. Indeed, he was very impatient in his great ecstasy. Sri Nityananda Raya, Jagadananda, Damodara Pandita, and Mukunda all became ecstatic in their happiness, and dancing along the way, they went to meet the Lord.
Gopinath Acharya also went in a very happy mood. They all went to meet the Lord, and they finally contacted him on the way. The Lord was also filled with ecstatic love, and he embraced them all. Out of their love, they began to cry with pleasure. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also went to see the Lord with great pleasure, and he met him on the beach by the sea. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord pulled him up and embraced him. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya cried in great ecstatic love. Then the Lord, accompanied by them all, went to the temple of Jagannath.
Due to ecstatic love experienced upon visiting Lord Jagannath, inundations of trembling, perspiration, tears, and jubilation swept the body of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and chanted. At that time, all the attendants and priests came to offer him a garland and the remnants of Lord Jagannath's food. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became patient after receiving the garland and prasadam of Lord Jagannath. All the servants of Lord Jagannath met Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with great pleasure. Afterward, Kashi Mishra came and fell down at the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord respectfully embraced him. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya then took the Lord with him to his home, saying, "Today's luncheon will be at my home." In this way, he invited the Lord.
Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya brought various types of food remnants that had been left by Lord Jagannath. He brought all kinds of cakes and condensed milk preparations. Accompanied by all his associates, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's house and took his noon lunch there. After offering food to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya made him lie down to rest, and he personally began to massage the legs of the Lord. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then sent Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya to take his lunch, and the Lord remained that night in his home just to please him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his personal associates remained with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. They all stayed awake the entire night as the Lord spoke of his pilgrimage.
The Lord told Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, "I have traveled to many holy places, but I could not find a Vaishnava as good as you anywhere." Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "I received much pleasure from the talks of Ramananda Raya. Thus I have ended my narration."
There's a split there into the purport.
In 57, 357?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Got to open that up.
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, "I received much pleasure from the talks of Ramananda Raya." The Bhattacharya replied, "For this reason I requested that you meet him." Thus I have ended my narration about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pilgrimage, describing it in brief. It cannot be described very broadly. The pastimes of Lord Chaitanya are unlimited. No one can properly describe his activities. Yet I make the attempt out of greed. This but reveals my shamelessness. Whoever hears of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pilgrimage to various holy places attains the riches of very deep ecstatic love.
Please hear the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with faith and devotion. Giving up envy of the Lord, everyone chant the Lord's holy name, Hari. In this age of Kali, there are no genuine religious principles other than those established by Vaishnav devotees and the Vaishnav scriptures. This is the sum and substance of everything. The pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are just like an unfathomable ocean. It is not possible for me to enter into it. Simply standing on the shore, I am but touching the water. The more one hears the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with faith, analytically studying them, the more one attains the ecstatic riches of love of Godhead. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunath, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishnadas, narrate Sri Caitanya Caritamrta, following in their footsteps.
So he got home, back to Puri. Sarvabhauma said, "You're eating lunch at my house." And so he made sure there was plenty of prasad, and everybody came there to Sarvabhauma's house. He must have a pretty good sized place. And everybody ate, and it described all kinds of cakes and condensed milk. And then Lord Chaitanya stayed the night at his house just to please him. And then it said everybody else stayed there too, and they stayed up all night long talking about his journey. So it's kind of like he had a sleepover. Big, what do you call that? Just everybody. Anyway, just a
reunion,
slumber party, but there's no sleeping. Yeah, they all got back together. Everybody was so happy to see him. Okay, this seems like a good place to stop for tonight. And the Lord's return to Jagannath Puri, chapter 10. All right, so we'll start with that tomorrow. And
I just have a quick question.
Yeah.
What is this book, the Krishna? I can't pronounce it.
Krishna Karnamrita?
Yes. Is it actually published? I mean, can you read it in English?
Yeah, Mahara was reading it just a couple months ago.
Where do you get it from? Where do you order it?
Let's see if she's available. Krishna Karnamrita, where do you find that? All right, they're asking about it. She says she thinks it's on Amazon. She's got it on her iPad. Yeah, you could just look at